Good afternoon from Commute.org and Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. With you today is myself, Kim Comstock, as well as Mary Thomasmeyer from the Commute.org team. But we also have our partners and speakers from SVBC that Mary will introduce in a moment. Thank you everyone for joining us today on our last webinar in this bike series. We have covered over the last few weeks bike safety, finding the best bike for you, bike commuting, family bicycling, and then also today, how to haul almost anything. But if you missed any of our past webinars, the recordings are available on Commute.org's website. We welcome you to check those out. So at Commute.org, we try to encourage commuters to use alternatives to driving alone to work in normal conditions. One way we do that is through incentives. And we do incentives to have people try biking to work or to keep up that good work of biking to work. We have quarterly prize drawings for up to $100 in e-gift cards, a guaranteed ride home program for when emergencies arise, and our Star Store where commuters can earn points and to redeem them for prizes. We're currently exploring some new incentives to add to our offerings since biking has become so popular, or there's a bit of more popularity right now. And we're hoping to piggyback on that to encourage more bicyclists to get out there and when they return to work, use their bike to get to work. So keep in touch with us to watch what our latest offering will be. But if you're currently working from home, you're also eligible for many of these incentives. So I welcome you to check out the Commute.org website. Our partner in this series, SVBC, is a valuable organization to both San Mateo and Santa Clara County. And we'd like to encourage all of you to become members of SVBC. And to help kickstart that, Commute.org is raffling off individual memberships to attendees of these webinars. So far, we have awarded memberships to Tom, Alexis, Tina, Katie, Calvin, Megan, Christina, and Veronica. So, and after today's webinar, we'll raffle off a few more memberships and we'll let you know if your name gets picked. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mary so she can introduce our speakers today.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you everyone again for tuning in to our fifth and final webinar in this series. Today, we're gonna cover how to haul anything by bike. Before I turn it over to the presenters, I have a few reminders for attendees. The webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you as well as posted on our website. If you have any questions, please direct them to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. I'll have a few minutes at the end to answer them. Now I'm going to quickly introduce our presenters from SVBC. Tim Wee is a league cycling instructor who loves to teach people how to ride and how to ride better. He held everything he needed for 3 months on the road during a 5,000-mile bicycle commute across the US and has hauled more on his bike than can fit in his Subaru Forester. Allison Greenlee is a lifelong bike commuter and recreational cyclist. Prior to joining SVBC in 2017, she worked in higher education, outdoor and environment organizations, and as a bike mechanic. Her program's role at SVBC allows her to share her biking experiences to educate and enthuse the masses. We also have a guest panelist joining us today, Michael Norris. Michael is the communications manager for the affordable housing nonprofit, Housing Trust Silicon Valley. In his off hours, he is a perpetually amateur welder and has built several cargo bikes and bike trailers over the years. He writes about some of his creations and bike travel on his blog, DIYbiking.com. And now I'm going to hand it over to Tim to kick off today's presentation.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our presentation. And I'm going to talk to you about how to haul anything by bike. It just takes a second sometimes for me. There we go. So I am with the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. We are a nonprofit member-based organization making bicycling better for all of you in Silicon Valley and also helping out our world. And we need you to join us to help. People power makes a difference. Our mission is to create a healthy community environment economy through bicycling in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. Diversity and equity and inclusion are central to our work. Bicycles are great equalizers. Everyone can get around on a bike and meet each other. Two of our key areas are advocacy. support getting better infrastructure improvements in our area. And also we have educational programs such as the one you're enjoying now, these webinars. We also offer social rides. And for me, I'm doing this not just for our local community, but I think globally and bike locally. I'm doing this for our planet Earth to make it better. And I hope all of you can help us do that by biking locally and thinking globally. So today we're going to do how to haul anything by bike. We're going to learn how to haul small amounts, medium amounts, large amounts, even a car or truck load. I'll also go into a bit about route planning, because when you haul a lot of stuff, you need to carefully plan your route so you know how you're getting from one place to another. And at the end of this, we'll have Q&A at the end of our presentation. So first off, we have a poll. What do you want to haul? Just a few bike repair tools, a lunch, a purse, briefcase, or a lot? So go ahead and answer this, and we'll see what our audience is interested in hauling or how much they're interested in hauling. And if you only get one choice, pick the biggest thing. Okay, so your bike repair tools, no one needs to haul those, but maybe they already have them on bikes. Lunch, just one person, a purse, one person. No one doing a briefcase. One person wants to do a grocery bag. 5 people want to do 2 grocery bags. 6 people want to do 3 grocery bags. Awesome. Only about 4 people going for a carload, but no one's going biting on the truckload amount. Okay, so we've got hopefully good information for all of you to cover how to haul all of that on your bike. Okay, so first of all, what kind of bike do I need to haul stuff? Well, actually, pretty much any bike can haul things, but some can haul more than others, especially cargo bikes, which we'll talk about cargo bikes as a specialty area further on in this presentation. So to start with, you can just haul things on your bike like this dude, just as a backpack. The thing about backpacks though, is when you're biking, you tend to generate a lot of heat, and I get very sweaty. So my back gets really sweaty when I bike. So I prefer not to haul things on my back, but that is an option. The advantage of hauling things on your back is that when you get off your bike, all of your gear is with you. You just walk into the store with it. But the advantage of having stuff on your bike is that your body is free for air circulation and just more comfortable, and you can haul a lot more than you just put on your back because it doesn't pull on your shoulders and doesn't hinder your mobility. So at the small end, this is the little tool bag under my seat that I have on each of my bikes. I've got a little tool bag. So that's like a small amount of stuff. Next up, you have a handlebar bag, this is the handlebar bag I have on one of my bikes. And I find handlebar bags really useful to toss a purse in, toss food in, toss my lunch in. That's a little bit bigger. And this one's waterproof and it's also highly reflective. So it sits in front of me and I can open it up and put my phone in it so I can get to the contents of this bag while I'm riding, as well as hauling stuff from place to place. As a variation on a handlebar bag, you can often get a basket on the front of your bike. This is actually took this picture of someone just a few days ago when I was biking around. They had a beautiful bike with a nice basket on the front, kind of equivalent of a handlebar bag, and you can toss stuff in. The great thing about a basket is you can watch the stuff in your basket as you ride and just grab it if you need it. So it's very convenient. This particular bike also has a rack in the back, which you can strap stuff to. Stepping up to slightly larger items, this is my my bike commuting bike. It used to be my bike touring bike, but I've sort of added some enhancements to it to make it specifically for bike commuting. And there's a lot to see in this picture, so I'm going to unpack it kind of slowly. First off, on the front, I've got a front rack which I can strap stuff to, and I happen to use this front rack to mount. I have a video camera. I take video when I'm riding. I've also got this flasher here, and also got a really bright light over here. For a front rack, you can attach panniers on the front and either side, as well as strapping stuff to the top, which I'll get to talk a little more about panniers in a little bit. Just to describe a little more on my bike, of course, I've got water, which I don't have to carry in panniers as such. I have actually water bottle mounts that some of you may have on your bikes, and there's a water bottle. This bike can handle 2 water bottles. I've just got 1 water bottle. If you're wondering what this thing is, this is a very big battery for my very, very bright light that I've got up here that I use. I usually keep it in the dimmest setting when I'm actually on roads because it's really, really bright. It's actually a mountain biking light. And I've got my pump here, by the way, just so I can pump up tires. Moving to the back of my bike, which is the more interesting stuff for hauling, I have got 2 metal folding baskets from a company called Wald. Let's see if there are a Sunlight and a few other companies also sell these metal baskets you can attach to a rear rack. On my commuting bike, I really like having metal baskets because each of these holds exactly 1 grocery bag with the top open. So I can go in and shop and just pop my grocery bag back onto my bike. Or in my case, in more normal times, I will actually just roll my bike into my shops and use my bike as my shopping cart in the store so that I can just pack it up as I leave, and then I don't have to worry about locking my bike. Because with all these pieces on my commuting bike, I don't want to see them disappear. But these baskets are very strong. One thing you want to pay attention to when you start loading up your bike is the weight limits for the gear you use. So a typical rack, a rear rack, will carry about 30 to 50 pounds for the average rack. This is front and rear. With stronger ones, sometimes you get more. These baskets, these are limited to about 15-ish pounds of gear in them. Now, something you notice about and also in my case, I've also put a sign on the side of my bike for Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. So whenever I'm riding bike commuting, this is a bike I use most, I'm advertising for a Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. You notice in my other basket here, I've got a white plastic bag. And you're probably wondering, so where did he get that, or where did he buy that? Well, I used to use just regular grocery bags, just with a regular plastic grocery bag and a paper grocery bag inside, but those lightweight grocery bags got ripped up a lot. Then I upgraded to a reusable grocery bag, which is this, polypropylene non-woven kind of thing, which was a little tougher, but still the metal in my baskets, I still rip those apart. These white plastic bags that I'm now using are super, super durable and really, really hard to rip. I can go like a year or 2 with one of these. And these bags you can get for free. Just get a friend that buys dog food. Like I buy our dog food in 30-pound bags. I turn the bags inside out after they're empty so that the inside is all white and then on the outside. And the outside's actually cleaner because the dog food has a little grease on it. That way the grease is sort of on the outside. It's not that greasy, but still the outside of the bag is cleaner. So the outside with all the logo stuff is on the inside now. Because I turn them inside out. And I now use these as my cargo bags. I put these in my baskets. I often use these on my trailers. And dogs just keep eating food. So I've got like an infinite supply of these free bags that I can use to haul stuff in. So 30, 40-pound bags of dog food are excellent when turned inside out for hauling stuff in. And they're very waterproof also. When you're riding and hauling your stuff, you want to protect it from rain. So yeah, there's a lot on this commuting bike. And let's keep going, see what else we can carry. Okay, now the next step up is we go for trailers. Then first off, I'm showing you a couple of hitches that allow your bike to haul a trailer. Whoops, sorry, I moved forward too fast. This is a classic Burley hitch that fits, it's all plastic. And this is a nice hitch because it allows you to pull a trailer, and trailers can hold a lot more, and we'll have a picture of a trailer in a second. But this works with almost all bikes. Except for some bikes that have disc brakes. The disc brakes sometimes interfere with this particular mount. The cool thing about this hitch is, though, that you don't have to have anything on the bike. The bike can just be as is with nothing special attached to it. And this hitch can just snap on, attach to the side. You screw down this little piece and this arm comes down. It sort of clamps onto the bike. And there's a wedge piece back here, as plastic is behind here, that just fits in the triangle between the seat stay and the chain stay. You also see a little extra safety strap here, just like with a trailer when you pull it on a car, as well as when you trailer with a bike, you sort of have a backup option. So if the main hitch fails, you've got the strap here to make sure that your trailer doesn't get completely disconnected from you. The next step up for hitches is this metal hitch. It's very strong. It can hold about 250 pounds in this particular hitch. This hitch, though, you need either a quick release or a bolt-on axle for this hitch to attach to your bicycle. And then I leave this on my bike. Taking it on and off is kind of a pain. So this hitch I leave on my bike, and this, you notice, is on my commuting bike. And I hook up a bunch of trailers to this hitch. And there are a bunch of other hitches also. This is now showing, unfortunately, you don't see this metal cylinders under here. There's a big round metal cylinder that fits on around this part of the hitch. And then there's a pin that goes down. So let's see, the pin actually is hanging down here. Here's also the strap, and this is on the front of one of my trailers and how it hooks onto that trailer. And so here are the 2 trailers I use mostly with my commuting bike. This yellow one used to be a kid hauling trailer from Burley. I converted it and got rid of the kid seat inside because it is an awesome, lightweight, very stable trailer that can haul up to about 10 grocery bags worth of stuff. So it's about as much as fits in a car trunk, which is really handy. Then this black trailer, heavier duty, has big fat wheels. This can haul about 250 pounds is a rating on what it can handle, 250 to almost 300 pounds. And this particular trailer has bigger wheels. It's got a very large clearance underneath. Since it's higher center of gravity, it's a bit tippier. The kid trailers tend to have very low centers of gravity, so they're very hard to tip. When you do pull a trailer behind you, you need to pay careful attention to how quickly you take turns and what kind of bumps you're going over. Because a regular bike, you just lean it to left and right, and it's not an issue. But most trailers have two wheels side by side, although I will show you another trailer further on that has one wheel that handles the tipping issue. But with a two-wheel trailer, you have to pay attention to not tipping the trailer over as you go around turns. So you can't take turns as fast as you would on a normal bicycle. Yeah, so this heavy black trailer, I haul a lot of heavy cargo on it. This is the back side of my trailers. It's very important to be visible. So the yellow Burley trailer is just very bright, has reflectors and a bright strip, and it's all red and yellow. So it stands out. For my black trailer, since it blends in, I added a safety triangle, like a slow moving vehicle triangle to the back of this trailer. And you notice actually on my commuting bike, I've got one of those on my commuting bike also because I'm a slow moving vehicle. And often with a trailer can be large and wide, and you may not be able to stick to just the bike lane. You may need to take the full car lane, which you're allowed to do. And so the safety triangle is extremely visible both during the day and at night, so that vehicles realize I'm a vehicle too, or motor vehicles realize that as a bicyclist, I'm a vehicle and I need my space to haul a lot of stuff on my bike or behind my bike. Inside my Burley trailer, I often actually just use an old sheet. This is one of my sheets from when my kids were young, as a sort of a liner to keep stuff clean. So when I go grocery shopping, I put this down. But if I'm hauling dirtier stuff, I may not have the sheet in there, or I may put a different covering inside to keep my trailer relatively clean. And then the sheet's easy to wash. Just toss it in the washer and dryer. You'll also notice that here I have an extra tube for this particular trailer. In case I get a flat that I can't repair, I actually keep a tube in my trailer so that I can just swap that in if I get a flat. So here I actually took this trailer and my commuting bike and I went to the curbside pickup at Home Depot with COVID-19, like we did curbside pickup. I ordered online and I checked in at this little booth here. They brought my stuff out, they loaded up my trailer, and off I went. So rather than using a car, I just use my bike everywhere to pick stuff up, whether it be from Home Depot. Now this particular load was a fairly light load, so I brought my light trailer. You saw my medium-sized trailer, the black one. I've actually got a heavy-duty trailer, which you'll see in a bit, that can carry up to 300 pounds, and it's much longer and larger. So other than trailers, you can do cargo bikes. And here you see a two-wheel cargo bike. I took this picture in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And it has a wheel in front. And here you can see you can put a load up in front. Front-loaded cargo bikes are really handy because it's really useful as a cyclist to be able to watch your load. And if you have a kid, it's nice to pop a kid in the front. Trailers can haul a lot and they're cheaper, but it's really hard to see what's happening in the trailer. Having it up front in a cargo bike is a really nice option. Cargo bikes are somewhat more expensive. Trailers will typically run $100 to $700 depending on the trailer. Oh, actually, in some really large cargo trailers, actually, there's some really big ones that can go up to $1,500. But cargo bikes are more in the range of $700 or $800 up to $12,000, depending on how much electricity enhancement you get and how many attachments you have for it. Here's another variety of cargo bike. This is a couple from Palo Alto. They have a Urban Arrow that actually has a nice cover over it. So the stuff that they have in their front hauler stays dry. And this couple also, they never intend to ever have a car. And so they get everywhere by bike. And so they can carry their kids in the front here and keep watching them and keep them dry while they're biking. So kudos to them, living in Silicon Valley, carless, which is just awesome. Here's another variety of cargo bike. This is a three-wheeled cargo bike. This is really stable so that, if you stop, it doesn't fall over. You just stay upright. And again, this picture was in Denmark where they don't require helmets on people. But in a three-wheel cargo bike, this is very, very stable and very heavy. And you can carry a whole family in this bike. 2 kids, the mom, bunch of stuff behind them here. They're off to the park someplace. They weren't going particularly fast, just sort of tootling along. I don't recommend talking on your phone while you bike, just like you shouldn't talk on your phone when you drive, but at the speeds they're going walking speed. And most people do walk and talk, so I won't give them too many issues about the speed they were going and where they were. They were in a park. It was a very safe area. So you can carry a lot in these cargo bikes. And this is also known as a Dutch style bike, or a bakfiets is another name for them, where you have a big cargo box up in front, which is a place to carry a lot of stuff. Okay, so when you carry a lot of stuff, it's very important to secure your load. And so here are a bunch of options for securing your load. So here is just an old inner tube that has a slow leak in it that I just could not find. And so I'm just using that as a strap. Just use it as is. You can tie stuff down with it. To the right of that is just a rubber strip of a tire that actually is sliced up. So a tube I no longer needed, turned it into a strap that's stretchy so I can tie down stuff with that. This is basically free options because you can get an old tire or you can cut it up with some scissors to turn it into rubber straps. Next up, we have some standard bungee cords. Here's a little mini bungee cord with little straps for little items. Here's a standard, slightly larger bungee cord. And you can also, if you want to make your own with either rubber here or with your own bungee material, you can buy these bungee hooks separately. So you can actually make your own bungee cords. Now, a step up from these standard bungee cords, this blue bungee cord here has better hooks. Now, when you get bungee cords, I recommend that you do get metal hooks versus plastic hooks, because this yellow bungee cord here, which I thought was really cool at the time because it was adjustable, so I can actually adjust the length of it to strap different stuff down. It had plastic hooks, but one time, one end sort of snapped loose, and when you use bungee cords, watch out for them snapping. You let one part go, it's like a rubber band, and it can really zing you. The plastic hook actually shattered when it hit something, which was a pain. And so I bought these hooks so I could put the new hook on and replace a broken hook here. The hooks on these are metal, this blue bungee cord, and they will not break, and they're much stronger. So I prefer metal hooked bungee cords over the plastic ones. Here's another one with metal hooks that actually is adjustable on one end as well. The fancier bungee cords, really handy to cinch it up so you don't have to wrap it around so many times to get the bungee cord. You can actually shorten the bungee cord, which is handy. And then for really, really heavy loads, tie down ratcheting straps like you would use in a car or truck are really handy. And I've got a set of 4 of these I use with my trailers when I need to carry heavy loads to make sure I keep them stable and so nothing bounces off. So for light loads, the stretchy stuff is fine because it's not an issue. But if you're hauling furniture and other really heavy loads, really important to have very strong, tightly things that hold the things really tight. You can tie it down with rope, but the ratchets are just so much easier to cinch it down and make sure it's really tight than tying a rope and trying to keep it taut. So here is me this is a picture I took, or a friend of mine took while I was biking across the country last year on this 5,000-mile bike commute I took. And you can see I've got one of my bikes here with everything loaded on it. I've got 110 pounds of gear. That includes the weight of the bike. I've got 3 water bottles. I've got front panniers. I've got my Olivia, my turtle, my sea turtle, who's my mascot for my ride, my front handlebar bag. I've got 2 really big rear panniers on the back. I've got some stuff, my sleeping roll strapped to the top. I've got a spare tire strapped to the top. I've got my tool bag. So I've got everything I need for 3 months on the road for this trip. And this trip that I took, I could have, if I had, my wife didn't want me back, I didn't have other stuff to do, I could have kept going around the world with this setup indefinitely, just traveling. Everything I needed, 110 pounds of stuff with me, all the clothing I needed. I just need to pick up food and water along the way. So this is for a long haul style travel. When you need to haul a lot for a very long distance. This is a classic expedition touring bike for mainly road travel, although I did go off-road a bit. Now, if you go off-road, this is an example of more of a true off-road. This is more called bike packing, as a variation on backpacking. And the setup is a little different, whereas before you see my panniers are on the sides of my bike. It makes my bike a bit wider. When you're off-road, you need to keep your profile narrower when you're carrying your load so that you don't get stuff hung up on bushes and trees and stuff and narrow trails. So in this case, they've got a supersized seat bag on the back. They've got a frame bag in the middle. They've got some other little mini bag under here, water bottles underneath. They've actually put water bottles on the side of their forks rather than the frame because the frame is used in the frame bag. They've got a top tube bag just behind the handlebars, and they've got a supersized also handlebar bag, which they pack everything into. And these bike packers, they tend to travel very light, relatively speaking, that they don't carry as much gear as I was carrying. So this is an example on more of a mountain bike style for carrying some loads longer distances. Okay, so here I'm using one of my medium heavy trailer, carrying a filing cabinet to work. This was about 150 pounds of metal back here. And notice I've got my straps, my ratcheting straps, locking that down so that the metal filing cabinet doesn't shift around. And when you load a trailer, just like when you load a trailer for in a car or truck, it's important to have the weight well balanced, where there's more on the front than the back to make sure that the trailer stays stable. So you'll have to practice with that. And then if you get really serious about this, like I am, you can haul a lot of stuff. So this picture was on our intro slide, and this is all the gear I needed to run a bicycle training course for 30 people in a parking lot where they didn't have water. So I had to bring all my water to this location at the school. And here I've got my touring bike with about 100-ish pounds of stuff in the various bags in it. I've got this trailer fully loaded at 300 pounds. It's got 2 full-size canopies that were steel and a couple of tables, and the manuals. Books really heavy, and a hose reel and a bunch of other stuff. I've got a table here, 2 full water jugs that are 5-gallon water jugs that are really heavy when full of water, and then a little bit more in my rear trailer. And this is a trailer train. It's 650 pounds total, with most of the weight actually in this middle trailer here. Everything, balanced to make sure that the trailer weights are proper so that it's well controlled. It actually tracked really well behind me. I had to do some custom work to get some hitches made for it to hook trailer to trailer. But here I am pulling 650 pounds. There's more volume here than would fit in my Subaru Forester. And Subaru Foresters, SUVs, they can actually hold quite a bit, but I couldn't fit all this stuff inside the Forester, and I needed it all for the course that I was helping teach. So yes, you can go car-free and haul a lot. The furthest I've taken this particular rig is about 12 miles in one direction. So I wasn't going a huge distance, but that's 24 miles round trip that was taking all of the stuff. And so you just plan out your route, take your time. And I didn't go any faster than about 10 miles an hour with this setup because I wanted to keep it slow and steady. And whatever I'm able to pull with my legs, I'm able to stop with my brakes. This particular bike does have disc brakes, which are stronger. So I did not do any heavy hills with this setup. And this is not what I would go cross country with, of course. This is way too much load to do a cross country tour. And you saw my cross country load where I just used Panniers. So let's see, anything else to say about this? No, that's about it, okay. And I mentioned Bikes at Work earlier. They actually do some really amazing cargo trailers. So I'm just going to do a shout out to them. I haven't gotten one of their trailers yet, although it's on my wish list. Here you see someone hauling a canoe on their bike. Their trailers, their 2-wheel trailers, this model holds up to 300 pounds. They've got a double wheel on each side, 4-wheel version that holds 600 pounds. And they also have the ability to hook their trailers one to the next, so you can actually form a trailer train. So if you have good legs or an electric bike, they've got some amazing equipment. And their top end heaviest duty trailer, that is at $1,500. They handle 600 pounds and it's a very long trailer, like this is long. You can really haul amazing things on bicycles. So route planning. This is really important when you're hauling a load. You really want to pay attention to what am I going to go over. So in this case, this particular route was from Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition to Los Gatos. And depending on what route you took, Google Maps is a really good tool for you to do bike route planning. Just put your destination in, put your start location, and then click on the little bicycle icon, and it'll show you different route options. So here I've seen 3 different options. You got 2 gray ones and this blue one. Now, I actually clicked on the blue one as the option for hauling this particular thing because it had a nice smooth curve here in the elevation you see. In the gray, it's a little hard to see this little bump here. That little bump, which is along this, the Los Gatos Creek Trail, there's actually a super steep hill right in the middle that would be really hard to haul a cargo trailer up. But by sticking to main roads, it's actually you can have a much easier haul time going from one location to another. So use Google Maps. They're really good for point A to point B instructions. They can talk the instructions to you while you ride. So very handy, Google Maps, bicycle instructions for figuring out how to get from one point to another. As another option, this is actually my cross-country ride where I did a pre-plot of my entire ride all the way across country from Sunnyvale to Boston. Originally, it was estimated at 4,400 miles. It ended up being 5,000 in actuality with detours and other things I encountered. One thing to take a note of with your bike mapping is take it with a grain of salt. Just like when you're using GPS for a car, you have to look at your situation you're in and realize that, oh, you know, maybe it's not such a good idea for me to go down that particular road, or there's a particular challenge. So pay attention to your surroundings and use your head when you're following directions. This was done with a program called Ride with GPS. There are also a lot of other bike-specific mapping programs out there. They're very useful for doing round-trip routes versus Google Maps is really good from point to point, not so good at doing round-trip or more complicated routes. These applications can also speak instructions to you as you ride. They also give elevation profiles. So here you can see the elevations as they're going across the US. Also, these specialized programs like this Ride with GPS can actually handle a map all the way across the US in one go. When I tried to do this in Google Maps, Google Maps just pooped out about halfway across the country. It was just too much data for it to try to deliver back to me. But Ride with GPS and some of the other mapping programs can handle, if you need to do like a cross-country ride and plot it all out, they're better for that. So Ride with GPS, there's a bunch of others. At the end of this presentation, there's a link to some resources. There's some other bike mapping programs you can check out and figure out which ones is good for you. So yeah, that's a little bit about route planning here. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you some fun pictures of different people hauling some different stuff. Here is a family that stayed with me as they were bike touring around the US. They're from France. Here's a tandem hooked up with someone riding in the back, helping a stoker here, helping push this load. He needs front panniers, rear panniers. This is a bicycle touring setup. And one of their children also had his own little mini bicycle touring setup, so he's hauling his own stuff. And there the mom was coming up with the rear, also hauling a lot for that bike touring family. Here are a couple of bike tourists that were actually, they're doing a round the world tour. They started in France, they've gone through South America, they hit California. This happened just as COVID-19 was arriving on our shores. So unfortunately, they got to San Francisco and they had to stop their tour for the moment and just fly back to France. They were actually cleaning up the world along their route. So they would actually pick up trash along that, trash cleaning activities as they rode to keep our world cleaner for whatever they saw along the way. And so this pair from France again, excellent bike tourists. This is outside my son's apartment in Helsinki, Finland, and you see a postal carrier. They've got dedicated postal bikes where they've got dedicated panniers in their front pack, and this is the postal worker there. They deliver most of their mail by bike rather than by postal truck. You can hear the close-up of one of their postal bikes. They have a very special kickstand to keep the bike completely stable with a heavy postal load because they're carrying a lot of mail, a lot of heavy stuff that they deliver. And you know, this is very waterproof. They've got these covers so they can, rain, sleet, or snow, it snows, and they're still delivering mail in the snow in Finland on these bikes, which is just amazing. Here's someone that was, these are a series of pictures from some seedling deliveries that Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition did with another nonprofit called Valley Verde. Valley Verde grows seedlings for people, and then they distribute the seedlings to families so that they can have food and grow their own food. This fellow, he is a bicycle tourist, and he put some seedlings, you see them peeking out in his saddlebags and his panniers on the rear of his bike. And for delivering seedlings, you need really large panniers. And he also has an electric bike here, so he has extra power there. Next up, we've got a recumbent bicyclist with some slightly smaller panniers. Notice as recumbent, he's lower, so he has a flag so that people can see him because he's not as high up. Next step up, you have this kind of trailer. It's kind of a little bit like a hand truck, a small one. Just two wheels in the back, it attaches to the top, to the seat tube, has two sort of bag levels. This trailer, I've talked to some people who have these. They're a little bit tippy, so definitely have to be careful around turns for this, but it's very handy because you unhook it quickly, then you have a little hand truck you can bring in with you with whatever you're carrying. So a very handy little trailer. This is called a bob trailer. It's a single wheel trailer, so that as you take turns, it leans with you, which makes it not able to fall over basically because it leans with the bike as you take turns, which is handy. This, you can hold up to 3 grocery bags with this setup. And it's another trailer variation. Here are more seedlings being picked up with the grocery bags. Trailers are really handy because you just sort of lay stuff in them, and the bike's not going so fast, and it's very stable. It's very nice. But trailers do not affect your bike handling very much at all. They put drag on it, but they don't destabilize your bike for the most part. Here is a do-it-yourself-biking.com trailer that we'll have our panelists maybe speak about at the end of this with Q&A. So it's, again, a slightly bigger trailer. You can put some more bags in there. Here's another burley trailer, another cargo trailer that's pulling behind this fellow. Here's another version of the burley trailer. And this guy actually added a huge monster backpack that he was carrying seedlings in this backpack as well as seedlings in this trailer. Here is another cargo bike. It's sort of a smaller front cargo bike. It just fit a couple of grocery bags full inside that front bike. Here is someone using a kid trailer. Kid trailers are awesome to turn into cargo trailers when your kids are no longer around. They can fit a little bit of cargo with a kid, but once your kid is grown, then they fit a lot of cargo. So here's a happy mom hauling seedlings off to some family someplace. And here is a fellow who's now, his kids graduated from his burley trailer, so he was picking up seedlings with this burley trailer and popped his kid on a trailer bike where the kid can actually, it's kind of a trailer but with a wheel where the kid can help provide some locomotion forward. So it's a lot of fun to have your kids ride with you and haul stuff. And this is actually the same sort of setup I rode with my kids when they were growing up. They went from a trailer to a trailer bike where we'd haul the trailer with another kid or groceries in, and so we'd have this little trailer train going. This fellow now has a front larger rack basket kind of setup that you can put more, as well as a rear basket and the trailer. So you could haul a lot of stuff on this particular bike. Another kid trailer used for cargo. Here is someone who took a kid trailer and actually put their own platform on it. They basically put a large wooden platform so they could carry more stuff. So he can handle, you know, maybe about 10 of these or 8 to 10 of these bags in his very large trailer. It's an expanded, a converted kid trailer turned into cargo. Here's a larger cargo bike that then has cargo in the front and has panniers in the back. These wire baskets also can front and small. So for a lot of, you can carry quite a bit. Here, by the way, Shiloh Ballard, our executive director for Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition, posing with this awesome cargo bike. And this electric cargo bike, you know, some battery down here, he's now underway here. It has a lot of power and the electricity here really helps you with the load. He mounted his water bottles to the back here so you can get to them. And here's some other cargo bikes. Here's a long tail cargo bike where the cargo is in the rear versus the front. This can handle 2 kids on top, or you can have these big sort of panniers kind of things to haul stuff on the side. They've got some plants parked there. And then there's this larger custom cargo trailer you see here that can hold just tons. I mean, it's like 20 bags, grocery bags in the back of this. These people are from Bike Party. I think this was a Bike Party recycling trailer that they're using here. Here's another large cargo trailer getting loaded up with seedlings. And here is our website, bikesiliconvalley.org/carrying, that has an article about how to carry more. And adjacent to this article is more about other resources that you can get to for how to map your route or how to carry things on your bike. So now we'll switch to Q&A, and we'll have Allison Greenlee moderating our Q&A. And I'll now take a look at the chat pod and Q&A pod. Thanks, Allison.
Well, thank you, Tim. That was an impressive amount of information and a nice variety of pictures. And I'm so glad that you squeezed in a picture of Michael too. I'm looking forward to his thoughts on some of these questions. Our first question comes from Lizette. The poll didn't include hauling pets. I hope we will address that. Small dog of 13 pounds. Pets are near and dear to our hearts. And personally, I have a 90-pound lab shepherd who I haul around with me. When I first started training her in a trailer, I simply got a burley off of Craigslist and gutted it out and made a little palace for her. Since she's gotten older, we upgraded to a more comfort carriage for her, and that one is it's a Dutch-made doggy ride. So yes, absolutely. Bring your pets. What I did to train my dog was I didn't just throw her in there and tie her to the trailer inside. I, made sure that she was used to it and was walking her up and down the street inside of it. A small dog of 13 pounds, there's a variety of options. I don't know if you're new to this or if you're looking to go out and buy something, but there's actually baskets that you can put dogs in that have a cover. I've seen people hauling their smaller pets in backpacks, obviously allowing them to breathe. I've seen some that have like a moon dome on them. But yeah, as long as the dog or the whatever kind of pet is comfortable and you feel secure doing that, I think that's great. And I'll let the other panelists chime in if they have any suggestions.
So I'll chime in briefly. Child carriers or child trailers are awesome for pets. So my cargo trailer, I put a mesh screen cover on it and then pop our dogs in the back. Haven't even bothered training our dogs because once the mesh cover is on, they can't get out. And they're also little dogs. So we'll carry 3 of those behind us, and they're really happy to go out, get some wind in their face and smell things. Dogs just love the scents that you bike by. So, and they bark a little bit at other passing dogs. It's a blast carrying dogs. I didn't have a picture showing earlier, but there was when the seedling delivery, one person brought their dog in a trailer as well as a place to put seedlings. So they had both the dog and seedlings on their cargo bike, which was awesome.
Yeah, and one thing I'll note, so my dog really did not like feeling confined in there, and she's big. She's a 90-pound lab shepherd. She's very tall. And she's also really good. And I wish I could take credit for her good behavior. I think that just comes through her good gene pool, maybe. I never tied her in. She would dart off once in a while after squirrels. And it really scared me to have her tied to that. And actually, now that I think about it, this was a while ago, I did have her strapped in loosely with a bungee style stretchy cable. And she took off after a squirrel and it turned over the trailer. And anyway, so I think it really just depends on your comfort level in terms of how you may secure them in there. But thankfully my dog is really well behaved. And Michael, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I don't have any pets, so I can't add anything to this particular conversation, but everything that you said sounds right in terms of just making sure that the pet is comfortable and, enjoys itself. And I have seen a lot of people with the Dutch style cargo bikes have the box in the front. Have said that they really prefer that design because you can see the pet and the pet can see you, and you actually know right away if the pet is not comfortable or not.
So real quickly, there's a follow-up question to that. What is the Dutch doggy ride brand name? It's called Doggy Ride, and they have a whole variety of different trailers and front carriers and whatnot. So that's where we got ours after we graduated from the Burley. So cool, thank you. Next question, would a large rice bag work as a cargo bag like the dog food bag? I think the keys there are to make sure that it's durable, waterproof. Those were the keys that I heard from Tim and his awesome reuse of the dog food bag. So I'm not familiar with what the rice bag is like, but I guess if it feels durable and waterproof, go for it.
Yeah, I'll comment on that. The rice bags tend to be woven, so they're not as waterproof as the solid plastic. It depends on the rice bag you get. So I've prefer the dog food bag as completely waterproof versus the rice bag. But the rice bags, they are very sturdy also. They're very tough, so that's an option. Just not as waterproof.
Our next question comes from Michael. I have a rear, whoops, where did it go? I have a rear rack and panniers, and I'm interested in getting a front rack for hauling more groceries and touring. Go, Michael. My bike is a steel frame, but the fork is carbon and it doesn't have any eyelets for mounting a front rack. What are my options? I have a couple thoughts on that, but I'm gonna let Michael or Tim chime in on.
I'll start. Yeah, I know that Wald makes at least one variety of front rack that just attaches to the handlebars only. The front fork is not involved at all. I'm not sure of the model name, but if you look around, you can find something that actually can just attach to the handlebars and not get the fork involved. The alternative is to swap out the carbon fiber for a steel one that has the eyelets if you want to put strain on it. I have used, I think they're from a plumbing shop, just these metal rings that can, clamp around a piece of steel, and then you can actually, it forms an eyelet and you can attach things to it. But I just don't think that you want to put that kind of strain on a carbon fiber fork.
Yeah, I would second Michael's recommendation to avoid the carbon fiber fork especially for bike touring. When you're bike touring, you really want everything to be really reliable, and repairing carbon fiber in the field is not easy. A steel fork, if something happens to it, you can find welders to fix stuff, and you can clamp stuff, not worry about compromising the tubing as much as with carbon fiber. So I'd recommend swapping the fork out for a steel one. Also, especially if you want panniers in the front. There are, I don't remember, I'd have to look it up. I remember seeing a very specialized kind of racks for super lightweight bikes that were designed to fit on carbon fiber bikes and turn them into a very, very light, fast, it's called credit card touring. So you don't have as much loaded on the bike, but you can actually attach racks to bikes that normally couldn't have racks. And they were carbon fiber racks also, but I don't remember the name of them. I'd have to look them up and follow up on that. So that's it for me.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I would add is, if you want to check your options first, contact the dealer or your local bike shop and ask about what sort of weight that carbon fork can carry, if any. And I third what Michael and Tim said, please don't clamp anything to your carbon frame. If you crack it, that could be a really catastrophic issue. So contact the maker of that fork to see if it can even carry anything. But you really don't want to do anything to compromise that.
And just the only thing to, I think, to tie in everything that's been said already is Tim said something about reliability of steel versus carbon fiber, and reliability is kind of a theme when you want to haul anything on your bikes. Just make sure that your bike is very reliable, make sure the tires are good. I mean, obviously, you are going to haul a patch kit and a spare tube if you want to do a quick roadside repair. But if you're hauling something like, say, ice cream and you get a flat tire, you don't want to have to delay too much to have to get it back to your house. So make sure that your bike is as reliable as ever when you haul stuff.
Save the ice cream. Okay, Tim, the next question is a question of your endurance. Tim, what distance did you take that 650 pounds?
So the furthest I've done the 650-pound trailer train is 12 miles each way. And that was going from my house to Valley Transit Authority where we were teaching. So that's, I think I could go up to about 20 miles in one direction each way if I was really doing that, because it just is slower. And I can't do it with hills with that much poundage. I've got to have a fairly flat route. So, and like an overpass with the ramps becomes a significant hill. I did do a 400-pound load to Google, and getting over the overpasses over 101. That was a pretty good workout for that overpass with a 400-pound load.
And I'll just chime in. I invested in an e-bike when I moved to California a few years ago from Minneapolis, where it's a little bit more flat, and I live out in Los Gatos, and hauling my dog around 12 miles on a one-way commute with hills wasn't going to work for her, and it wasn't going to work for me, certainly. So I was really glad that I took that leap, and I love my e-bike. So that's another way, you can get some mileage and make it happen. So next question comes from Cecily. I love the dog food bag tip. We did too. Do you have any other DIY or budget-friendly ideas for hauling gear? Let's ask the DIY guy.
Yeah, I've never had a great deal of money, but I've been very blessed to live close to used bike stores, especially in San Jose. The place that I went to the most frequently when I first moved here 5 years ago was Good Karma Bikes on 460 Lincoln Avenue, and they tend to have a lot of just like random things. You just go there once a week and just get things randomly. You would also just when I was just looking for parts for to feed some of my bikes per se in Connecticut, I would just pop by the metal recycling bin because chances were excellent that somebody would be throwing away a bike that was even better condition than the one I was riding. So I would just strip it for parts, and most of what I learned about how to build bikes basically came out of that metal recycling bin. And garage sales, tag sales, Craigslist, all of those resources can work for you to just pick stuff up wherever you can find it. And also, if you're talking about DIY, the picture that you had of me at the Fantastic Valley Verde thing, and thank you SVBC for organizing that. That trailer frame is from a company called Bike Friday, which is in Eugene, Oregon. They make travel bicycles that you fold up and put in a suitcase, and you can take them with you when you fly. They sell a trailer frame so you can actually haul the empty suitcase behind your bike when you land. So I bought one about 7 years ago, and I honestly have not had a chance to use it for its intended purpose, because what I did was I wanted to see if it would actually work. So I attached it to a white rectangular IKEA tub, which is what you saw in the photograph. And for 7 years, that has been my go-to bike trailer for just about anything, because it's very lightweight, it's very rugged, it's reliable. You can haul, an entire week's worth of groceries with that one little trailer. And it's just really fun how, just random DIY projects can just sort of be born that way.
So I'll second Michael's recommendations for Good Karma Bikes. That's my go-to place for bike parts. They've got a huge selection because they process a lot of bikes. Another thing you can do is Nextdoor or free cycling groups. I've actually acquired about 20 bikes for free through free cycling and through Nextdoor. So there's lots of places to get parts for bikes. Bike trailers actually becoming pretty precious these days. At one point, it used to be easier to find kids' bike trailers, but now a lot of people are holding on to their kid bike trailer rather than getting rid of it quite so quickly. But again, you can get stuff for free at various locations. And also we've got the San Jose Bike Clinic in downtown San Jose near our offices. There's another spot, and Community Cycles in downtown San Jose is another possible source for bikes and bike parts.
Yeah, and then I'll just give another shout out to Tim reusing bicycle tubes as straps. That's brilliant. I use those things for a variety of things too. They're great. I mean, once they've got a hole and they're not repairable, reuse them for stretchy tie downs. They're super durable. Next question comes from Jessica. When you go into the store, how do you lock up your bike and trailer?
Okay, I'll address that since I do a lot of shopping by bike. So if I'm shopping just on my bike, I just roll the bike in if I can and use it as my shopping cart. When I bring the trailer and the bike combined are too big usually. So I'll lock the bike up outside just using a standard bike locking setup. But the trailer, the trailer that you saw that I used to shop with has a little wheel that pops down. So the trailer converts into a shopping cart. So I'll actually roll that in and shop into that and then roll it out. Right now, some stores are allowing me to bring my cart in and some are not. So then if I have to lock it up outside, I just use multiple bike locks and make sure I don't have stuff that's that movable. Although with a bike and a trailer, it starts getting too complicated for bike thieves. They're not used to seeing that kind of stuff. So it's like, how do I handle this? They might not be familiar with as much stuff, but I'm more cautious. I don't leave it outside as long. If I happen to have bike lockers nearby, which are awesome, the bike link locks in particular, I've got 2 bike link cards so that I can actually use one bike link card to put my bike in and put another bike link card to put my trailer inside, because the trailer sides fold down and I can pop it into a bike locker if I need to. So those are my tips for locking up my bike and trailer. Cable locks as well as U-locks, just the whole variety of ways to lock up a bike. I just use it with a trailer as well.
I usually just have a very heavy lock that I use just for the bike, and then I just trust that people won't understand how the trailer is attached to the bike or how to attach it to their own bike if they were to steal it. Plus, it's so unattractive. I don't know who would actually want the thing. So I'm in pretty good shape when I go grocery shopping. When I go with my big Dutch-style cargo bike, which is obviously, it's more expensive, more valuable. I have just, a big, thick New York lock that I use to cable it. And I don't think anybody could possibly steal that without, air support because it's so heavy.
Awesome. All right. We have a few more questions. Moria has a lot of questions. So I'm going to stick to the ones, Moria, maybe we can follow up with you with some of Tim's travel questions, but please show how to get elevation diagram in Google Maps. I use Google Maps a lot and have never seen this feature. So Tim, when you showed the example of 3 different elevations, was there a special feature there that you used, or?
You click on the route, and there might be on the left side a little thing you have to toggle down to show the elevation. But it should be on the left-hand side. There should be a little area to show the elevation. And I can answer the other 2 just really quickly. Yes, I included a sleeping bag and pillow. My pillow is my turtle that you saw in the front. And my long-distance travel bike, no electric assist, because on the road, electricity and trying to get charged is just too complicated. I'm totally people-powered.
All right, and suggestions for a cheap starter trailer, something inexpensive, maybe used. Recommend brand tips for shopping for used. So basically, any tips that we have for used inexpensive trailers.
The ones I've always bought or acquired that have been used, Burley has the most common brand, and it's the one that I've actually preferred using because they're so, they're so simple, rugged, and also a lot of the older ones, they just take traditional 20-inch wheels. They don't have any special adapters or anything like that. So those are usually the best platforms to work with.
I second Michael's recommendations. The Burley trailers are just awesome. Very lightweight, very dependable, very well built.
Yeah, that's what I used for Eleanor, my dog. That was her first trailer, and I ended up donating it when we upgraded, but it was still going strong, super lightweight, and it was great. And I got that on Craigslist. I guess one other follow-up question are things to look for in terms of to see if it's in good mechanical condition.
The fewer moving parts it has, the better. A lot of Burley trailers are made out of aluminum, which obviously won't rust, but it can be bent or dented depending on how people are storing them in the off season. But that's the thing to look for. Give the wheels a spin and make sure they're not wobbly, and make sure that the wheels themselves fit well inside of the axles and aren't damaged in any way. And if there are things missing, such as straps or whatever, you can usually use a variety of things to attach your cargo or build a new platform to carry things.
Cool. And then one more question is, does it matter what type of bike it is relative to how much weight I can carry? Tim touched on that a little bit at the beginning of the presentation.
Yeah, trailers are pretty flexible with most bikes. The most of the weight is on the trailer. So you can get most bikes to work with most trailers. You'll have to check your specific situation to see how the hitch works.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is that because I've actually hauled things with different bikes in my, I guess the word I'm looking for is fleet. I've hauled different things with different bikes with different gearing ratios, and there's not much of a difference, but there is a difference in terms of braking power. And this gets back to what I was talking about before with reliability, is that make sure that your brakes work really well. I did I took one of my very first cargo bikes that I welded, a long tail, rode it 7 miles to get to a hardware store, bought a 4x8 sheet of plywood, had them cut it up so I could balance it on the back, and that bike behaved much differently on the way back, fully loaded, than it did on the way out. So just make sure that your brakes are in sound financial shape before you haul anything heavy, because there's a lot of there are physics involved there.
And it looks like we're out of time. So I've copied all of these questions so we can answer them in the email afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you. I think Mary has some follow-up words of wisdom for us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, Tim, Allison, and Michael for your expertise today and all the other previous webinars. We really appreciate it. And thank you, attendees, for tuning in. We will follow up with a survey to get your feedback. We hope you found the information covered throughout the webinar series helpful, and encourage you to reach out to SVBC and/or Commute.org with any further comments or questions. Thank you, and stay healthy and safe.